Welcome to the show, Talking with AG from TGE, the show where we interview and chat with some awesome event vendors based out of Denver, Colorado. Today, we are super lucky. We get to chat with Nathan Pearse, the owner of Colorado Party Rentals. Nathan, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Adrian. It's great to be here. Thanks for the opportunity.
Of course, of course. So Nathan, I've said this a few times. I actually even put it in our Instagram story when I talked about our interview with you, that I think you are probably one of the hardest working people I know for a few reasons, because you actually email me back on Saturdays or sometimes early in the morning. So I just think, yeah, you're just, it just seems like you're an animal in that way. And I'm just kind of curious where you got that from and, kind of give me a little bit of insight into that.
Yeah, as my dad always said, like we must have a couple of screws loose in our head because you have business and just that work ethic has just always been there for me. It's not something you really learn. It's either you have or you don't have. People can work at it, but no, I think that's just kind of coming from 4 generations of entrepreneurs. So it's been a long line of working with my dad, obviously day in, day out, my grandfather. I was a little too young to remember the times with Warren Sr., who's my great grandfather. But yeah, no, it really just comes down to, having that instinct and just working hard every day.
That's incredible. 4 generations of entrepreneurs. I can't even imagine that. And so you said, I know you work with your dad now, but what were like the previous businesses that your family did?
Yeah, it's all the way back to like just after Prohibition. My great grandfather worked for a beer distributor and liquor distributor in New York, and I think it's 1947, he incorporated himself in Rochester, New York, and he became a beer distributor for Genesee Brewery, which is based in Rochester, New York, which is where I grew up. And from beer, which was multiple generations, to let me think, retail and golf and tennis, being in the car industry and selling secondary products in that world, to packaged ice of all things, and then now finally kind of leading us into the event rental world.
That's awesome. So you guys kind of go after businesses and opportunities in lots of different areas, it seems like, which is pretty interesting, whereas our community seems to be very based on just events. So what kind of keeps you guys, I guess, what kind of moves you around, or what are you looking for usually when you maybe look at a new opportunity or a new business?
It's a really great question, and I think it's often what puts people, they don't really understand, they don't know, they don't have the confidence. Really what that comes down to is finding the opportunity that fits your strengths and looking at opportunities. And that's why it's pushed us. I mean, beer was, hey, that's distribution and that's warehousing and sales, and doing different things and switching industries isn't as hard as it would seem. Really, you just have to understand, and as we're looking at different businesses to potentially purchase and turn around, we're looking at those businesses that they have many different things that they're really successful at, but there's a few things that they're not. And so when we look at those and we're deciding to say, hey, is that the right business? Is that the right industry for us? Hey, are those things that we think they're weak at? Is that part of my strength? And so really finding the right piece there to work between what they're missing and what I have, or what a combination of people can put together that, hey, we think we can do this, versus, oh, I only know this business and I have to just do this for the rest of my life. That's really not the case.
Awesome. That's really cool. And you spoke a little bit there about, yeah, just kind of aligning your strengths with potential opportunities. And I know you've done, even from the start of, what you've done with Colorado Party Rentals and the improvements in your process and your manufacturing and what you've done, like, do you think that's kind of one of your strengths?
Yeah, I mean, identifying kind of the issues within the business. If it be just, some leadership or some hands-on ability, is it, hey, geez, we're great at warehousing, but don't know distribution, or focusing on sales. And really at the end of the day, whatever industry we've ever been in, from beer distribution in 1947 all the way until 2020, that one key piece that everybody seems to want to overlook is customer experience and customer satisfaction. And so that's been one thing that's, I think, been a driver for us, whether it was me or my father or his father, that we understood at the end of the day that customer experience and customer service, it's had different little words and phrases throughout, you know, the many years now. But at the end of the day, really taking care of your top line, which is your clients and your employees. If you take care of them too, that everything else tends to follow. And so it's that decision, which is not easy, to manage the business from the top end as opposed to the bottom.
I'm just taking notes for myself.
Right, those are free. Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. That was really good. Awesome advice there. And I think what you said also as well that I was really picking up on, especially right now with COVID, is that, yeah, you don't have to be so attached, and you don't have to have this romantic feeling about, you know, your business or your sector. Like, you certainly can pivot those energies and those skills elsewhere if you wanted to, and if the opportunity was there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a great thing to be thinking about now, as we're all saying, hey, where are we, you know, what have I been doing? What do I want to do? You know, are we pivoting this year? Am I pivoting personally? Like, what are the different things that you know I want to accomplish in my professional career? And there's always excitement to try different things or new things. Strategery is definitely one of my favorite words of all time. And so
Yeah.
I like to think of myself as, hey, I want to be really strategic. I want to have the opportunity to really understand the industry or the market that we're in, and say, hey, how do we take advantage of that? For one, to, again, having that main pillar of customer experience, like, how do we improve that experience for somebody? How do we, you know, and it's not all price, you know, it's got to be a great combination. I mean, that's what experience is. You know, if we have an open bar, hey, that hotel is great, but the beds were horrible, but, you know, the open bar didn't help out that much. And so to really be able to bring a little bit of everything for somebody, so they really feel good about, you know, that event or that music festival or whatever was happening that day that we helped out with, that they feel good about that.
So with all of this knowledge that you have, like, did you go to school for business? Was it more just like your family educating you? And do you continue to educate yourself? And now that we're all getting older?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm definitely unique in that way. I think that, I mean, some of my earliest memories are like being on the pickup truck with my dad on a Saturday morning in 1986. Now, you know, 1985, and like picking up, you know, he had employees that could have done that, but no, he had it. He'd go do it. We'd go in the van, you know, and pick up a beer trailer that was in a park from the night before for some sort of event or you know, whatever that was. And just, you know, my earliest pictures are me on a forklift, you know, in the warehouse, you know, of the distribution, you know, beer. And so I think, kind of answer your question, like, it really started very early for me. I always had a passion and a drive for business, and wanting to lead and be a part of something bigger. And so for me, I mean, as school went along, I wasn't exactly the most studious student. You know, I always, you know, thought that athletics and having fun and enjoying life were always important. And so, yeah, bounced around schools for a while, finally landed out in Colorado, and finished up, you know, what was my college at Colorado Mountain College. And really, for the most part, my education has been hands-on, you know, since I was 5 or 6 years old, working, you know, in those businesses. I think my mom and dad always appreciated that, because I was free labor. I guess I hadn't wised up enough to ask for some sort of wage, but I think even back then that would have probably been an issue with the local authorities. So so yeah, kind of always just working and just kind of having that business acumen, just kind of, luckily for me, like, built into my brain somehow. That, yeah, sure, I've read some business books along the way, and I continue to, although I've never been the most avid reader, you know, go figure. So books on tape, or it's not really a tape anymore, so I don't know if they've come up with a new name, but you know, my travels back and forth from work, and that's yeah, it can be a lot of the time 7 days a week because I enjoy what I do. That eats up a lot of my road time.
Well, since you've had, your hands in different sectors and different industries, is there anything that you could say is maybe either unique or different about owning an event business?
Yeah, it's interesting from the fact of the seasonality of it. That yeah, there's different events always going on, and it seems like in this day and age, especially prior to COVID-19 pandemic, that there was, especially in a city, in a state, in a region like Denver and Colorado and the Rocky Mountain region is, that there's always seems like there's something going on, and so that's fun about this industry, that there's a lot of energy and there's always things happening. And quite honestly, every event is amazingly different. It's like they may have a lot of the same tables or a lot of the same chairs, and they all have plates or stages and lounge sets or couches or whatever they're looking for in that. That I think one thing that remains the same, that they're always unique, and so you're always being challenged to help clients think about that. And there's always different challenges for every event, and so that's fun about this industry. It's tough at times, no doubt. There's a challenge factor there, but because of that continuous challenge to come up with ideas and help them get through their challenges of their event is exciting, and that makes it fun for sure.
Would you consider yourself to be a goal setter, or somebody that's a little bit more just kind of goes with the flow?
I think I'm a flow guy. As much as, there's strategies out there and there's things that I'm sure you have in the back of your mind. Really, I think for me, a key to success, whether it be in the event industry or any industry, is to listen to your clients. And what they say to you is often different, from either season to season or type of client. What they're looking for and how you can add value to them differs. What I expect to see out of a client 6 months from now, and what their expectations are and what really matters to them is different than what it was 6 months ago or a year ago. And so that's certainly unique in that way. It's going to be very different moving forward.
I think what's kind of resounding here is that you kind of even just circled back to it again, that your focus is really much more on that top line, your people, your staff, and then your clients. Like, I didn't even ask you a client-based question and you went right back into it. So that's obviously where your focus is, which is really
no
interesting.
doubt. Yeah, well, you're in beer, and okay, hey, that's a certain type of beer. And so there's going to be clients that want that type of beer. And we've done different things and different businesses, but we got to the packaged ice business. That what's unique there is that it's just ice. I don't think anybody that will be listening to this can ask themselves this question and say, what, like, I went to the store and I really had to have ABC ice. I had to have it. There's really no choice there. It's either you have all the business or you have none of it. And so for us, we had to sell, not that our ice was any better than our competitors, but it was the customer service, and it was understanding what was important to them with such a generic product such as frozen water. Everybody has the recipe at home. There's no secret vault of an ice recipe. And so to go through that business and really understand that and luckily be successful in that business, like that is everything, is taking care of the client.
Awesome. Have you ever received any really stellar business advice that you might want to share with everybody today?
I probably have.
You've already done a few really good gold nuggets from my notes, but I'm just curious if you have any specifics to throw at us.
Yeah, that's just like that's really not my style. Like there's 100. There's 1,000 out there.
All from your dad and your grandpa.
Yeah, and so I just look at it and say, hey, really at the end of the day, a couple keys to being successful, no matter what you do, it doesn't matter what industry you've been in or where you're going, would be, yes, take care of your clients, right? Like, the employees themselves, like whoever your staff are, like that's an extension of you. If we had a really small event world business, and like it was just me. That's how it would start. You know, I would start on the weekends and I'd deliver tables and chairs when I was off from my normal job. And then as you grow, you add those staff, and they are an extension of you in that experience. So I think, yeah, I mean, really working hard, leading by example, for your staff. You know, the staff itself, that's a two-way street. You know, we ask a lot of people, again, being a seasonal business, that hey, summers are tough, and there's no way around that. That there's a lot of long days, there's a lot of long weeks. Summers can, you know, push into late falls and continue to evolve, and do things. So taking care of your employees and your staff are just, you know, I think two things that people tend to forget about. And it's sometimes such a basic, you know, basic piece for people to say, hey, like, you know, yeah, I take care of my people and I pay them well and I give them some vacation time. You know, what else is it beyond that? Because they're the ones ultimately that are going to take care of your clients, because I can't be on every phone call. I can't be in every showroom meeting. I can't be on every delivery. And so having that staff be there and understand the core values of what we're trying to do is so essential.
How important would you say it is as a leader and as an owner and as a boss to lead by example? Like you brought that up a few times, that you get on the truck and you work with your team. Like how important do you think that is?
I mean, to me, it's critical. You know, I think it's a baseline. I mean, when we purchased the business in 2015, I had never rented a table or chair or really understood any of those things. And so coming in day one and just saying, hey, you know, and I'm gonna keep, you know, it zipped for the most part, and just watch and listen and understand, you know, where the business is, and then start to cultivate and come up with some ideas, and some concepts of where it could go. But you really don't know. It takes a long time. And the one thing you can do is to say, hey, it's going to be different because, yeah, day two, I was in a truck, you know, and it happened to be a Saturday, you know, and the guys were just kind of like very nervous. I mean, I said, hey, like I'm just another guy. You know, we're working together today, and I'm not boss. I'm just your helper, because quite frankly, I'm a rookie, so I didn't know anything. And so gaining mutual respect, that way, that when nobody's looking, those employees make the right decision, because there's a lot of times when nobody's looking, that things happen. You know, the volume of inventory that we're moving, and a lot of it being very fragile, things happen, things break, things fall, things get dirty, and moving forward, it's like, hey, those mistakes are going to happen. What are we going to do about it? Are we going to let the right person know? Are we going to come up with a game plan, to be able to take care of that incident or whatever that is? That things happen. You know, that's part of the event world. You know, to know that, hey, that perfect plan will not go smoothly or will not go perfectly. It does happen from time to time, but you can't plan on that. You know, that you have to plan, hey, what's going to happen, and how we act, and how we resolve that is, you know, a really critical piece for us as well.
What would you say is easier? Because you brought this up. I thought this was funny. Is it selling ice or selling events during a pandemic? What's harder?
Yeah, that's interesting. I could go both ways with that, I feel like, because early on in the ice business, like we didn't, you know, it was all just price, you know, because we had a very small client base. When we bought that business in 2000, we had like a 15% market share. And within, you know, a few years, we kind of understood, you know, how to do this. And yeah, it's going to be priced a little bit to some extent until you can show yourself and you can, you know, let those clients understand the difference. So when that competitor tries to come back in to get the business, that they say, oh no, I'm all set. And so now we protected price, and it's more about value and adding things in for clients. And so once you kind of figured some things out, and we had some at that time competition that wasn't quite up to par, that we were able to take a lot of market share very quickly. And so then it really snowballed very quickly for us in that industry. In the event business, to compare, especially during a pandemic, you know, quite honestly, you know, you do the best you can. You're available, you were open, and you were willing to work with your clients and understand, just as we talked a little bit earlier, that hey, their needs are different, and quite honestly, every time we talk to them, they can be different. And so to be flexible and be willing to adjust and work with clients or their clients is critical. So I think both have extreme challenges, but I'm feeling the COVID, that's a tough environment for anybody. I don't, it doesn't matter if you've been in business for 50 years and done, millions of things, or hey, you're just like everybody, there's a challenge across the board. And so that's going to be difficult for everybody, and everybody's in a tough spot. But I think, hey, the most important thing is to stay positive and be available. It's not, in my eyes, it's not time to shutter as much as possible. It's really to say, hey, how do I stay open and actually add value for people, as opposed to saying, hey, sorry, don't fault me because we have less services and less capabilities now due to COVID. We say, hey, actually, how can I help you more? What more can I do to add more value for you, not just during COVID-19, but as we move forward, that there's no doubt that we will come out of this, and are we going to be stronger for that? Are we going to be a better company? Or are we going to add more value to our clients? So I think in the short term, the opportunity in the short term is tough, but how are we setting ourselves up for future? Will we truly be better for this, or will we just say we survived? I'd like to be able to say we survived and we got a heck of a lot better at the same time.
Well, that is going to wrap up our interview with Nathan Pearse from Colorado Party Rentals. Thank you, Nathan. I have a lot of notes. I hope you guys were listening. Some of my favorite takeaways, again, we're really focusing on that top line. What really resonated with me was right now about being available and being open and being flexible. Also to the people watching this that are, kind of concerned about, I had somebody tell me the other day that all I know is events. All I can do is events. I don't have any skills. And it's like, well, that's a whole lot of bullshit, because, what you just said, like, you have skills, things can translate, and you can pivot and do what you need to do. So a lot of really, really awesome takeaways. So really appreciate you taking the time today to chat with me.
Yeah, absolutely. It was great opportunity. And I want to follow up with just one quick thing you said there, because I think it's so smart, and it really resonates for everybody, and a lot of people that are hopefully watching this that are, have some anxiety about what they're doing today and tomorrow and next year, is that your strengths and skills are not, they're not your job description or what you've only done in the past. They are tools to be able to take you wherever you need to go. And I think a lot of people forget that. And so I've been lucky enough just to have that happen to me in the past, where I'm pivoting from one industry to another and another and another. And you say, well, geez, I've only done this. Like, am I going to be any good at this? Really what it's about is that your talents and your skills, they are yours. And sure, you can build upon those, but really that's not what you've done in the past. That's where those things can take you in the future. And so really, it's part energy and part willing to go out there and do it, but also to have that confidence. And if you feel confident in some of your skills, not just your background and what you've done is, this is the only job I've ever done, or this is the job description, that there's certain skill sets, and everybody has different ones, to be able to take those, and you can use those in any industry you want to really move into.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Nathan. Really appreciate your time again. So everybody, obviously, follow Colorado Party Rentals, and we'll put their handles in here for you. Follow them, see what they're up to, and also obviously check them out for rentals when you need them. So,
all right, thanks again.